It's time to get spooky, Hurricanes fans, as the team will host the Boston Bruins for a Halloween game day in Raleighwood.
Your Locked On Hurricanes, your daily podcast on the Carolina Hurricanes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to a Halloween game day edition of Locked On Hurricanes, your team every day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Thank you to the Everydayer for making this your first listen of the day. 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, talking everything but your Carolina Hurricanes. I'm your host, Zach Martin. I'm the Carolina Hurricanes credentialed beat writer over at the Hockey Writers. I also do a column in the Chicago Wolves called Wolves Weekly. Also the co-host of the Searchcast, which is a weekly Carolina Hurricanes podcast, along with all my duties here at Locked On Hurricanes. Got a fun show for you guys today, as we will be previewing the Halloween game for your Carolina Hurricanes against the Boston Bruins. Going to be looking at the tails of the tape, looking at, players that are leading the teams right now and all of that good stuff. And we're also going to do the keys to the game, which have been doing pretty well so far this season. So going to keep that rolling. And then at the end, we're going to do players to watch. But before we jump into all of that today, you can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Now, like I said, the Carolina Hurricanes will host the Boston Bruins for a Fright Night edition of hockey in Raleighwood on Halloween. And, of course, we all remember the Halloween game where the Hurricanes won and guys were giving out candy on the bench. And you all know Doug Hamilton's face when he got his in his helmet. So I would not be surprised if the Hurricanes have something up their sleeves for what we hope to be a storm surge after the game involving Halloween candy once again. And I'm really curious to see how the fans are going to be showing up tonight in probably a lot of costumes and all of that fun stuff. But for those who are not going to be able to get to the game, it will be on the FanDuel Sports Network South. And of course, if you're Hurricanes fans stuck in Boston territory, if you're not on ESPN Plus or you can't get FanDuel, it's also going to be on NESN. Now, this is the first of a 3-game season series between the two teams. Obviously, the first one's tonight at 7 o'clock in Carolina. Then the next one is not until March 6th, also at 7 p.m., back in Raleigh once again. And then their final game of the season between the two teams will be in Boston on April 5th at 7 p.m. as well. So you got one in October, and then they're not being back up until March, and then a month later in Boston. So a nice little big stretch in between the games with two really close together for these two teams. And of course, the Boston Bruins right now are 4-5-1 this season, and the Carolina Hurricanes are 6-2. And it's no surprise that these two teams just do not like each other. It's a foregone. It's not a foregone conclusion at this point for the fact that they just are not fun of each other. They're not fans of each other. They don't like each other. There's been a lot of fights. There's been a lot of jawing. Fan bases are always at each other too. So this is going to be a very interesting one, especially when you're talking about a Halloween edition of a bad blood game between these two teams. Now, in terms of the points leaders or stats leaders overall, Martin Necas, as of right now, has 8 points in the last 5 games. These are the last 5 game stats. Martin Necas has 8. David Pastrnak has 3. And in terms of goals, Jack Roslovic has 3. David Pastrnak with 2. And then in terms of assists, Martin Necas with 5 and Brad Marchand with 2. And of course, with Martin Necas, he does have a total points of 11 and 4 goals as well. So, and then 7 assists. So Martin Necas right now is kind of just leading the way for the Carolina Hurricanes, which is awesome to see for a $6.5 million man. Now, in terms of the goaltending over the last 5 games, Jeremy Swayman, the newly long-term signed Boston Bruin, making $8.25 million a season, he's 3-3-1 with a .297 goals against and a .900 save percentage. And then, it's Korpisalo, who they traded, Vezina winning Linus Ullmark to Ottawa Senators for, Corpusalo. He's 1-2 with a 3.4 goals against and an .872 save percentage. Now, in terms of the Carolina Hurricanes, not bad for Mr. Frederick Anderson, who's 3-1-0 with a 148 goals against and a 941 save percentage. And then Pierre Kachekov is 3-1 with a 277 goals against and an 894 save percentage. Now, the thing is, though, we do know that Frederick Anderson got hurt in the last game on the road trip. And, well, I should say he got hurt in the Seattle game right before the last game of the road trip. Still no update on how long and what the issue is. We just know he came up gimpy in that game. So he is now currently out with the team recalling Spencer Martin from Chicago Wolves. But we all know that Pierre Kachekov will be in the net for the Hurricanes tonight. And from what I've heard, all probabilities it's going to be a Jeremy Swayman start. So you got Sway against Piotr in goal for both of these squads. Now, in terms of the last 10 games, of course, we all know the Hurricanes are 6-2-0, coming off a 4-game winning streak against Edmonton, Calgary, Seattle, and Vancouver, going 5-1-0 on their road trip. For the Boston Bruins, they've gotten one win in their last 5, beating Toronto in overtime. They lost to Utah in overtime, lost in regulation against Nashville, Dallas, and Philadelphia. So not a great start for the Boston Bruins. They're trying to come back from a struggling start to the season, as you would say, especially when you have a guy like David Pastrnak leading the team in points with 8, and does have 6 goals, but he is also a -4. And right now it's Brandon Marchand -6, 1 goal, 6 points in 10 games. Not the greatest of starts for the Boston Bruins so far this season, and looking at them overall, just not what you would really expect from a team that, had a season like they had last year in a playoff run. But hey, it's still early in the season. Who knows? But yeah, if you're the Carolina Hurricanes, you really want to take a wounded Bruins team and kind of put them away early in this one. Of course, we'll do keys of the game later. But real quick on the stats updates, how about Martin Necas? 4 goals, 7 assists for 11 points, +4. 2-game winning goals on 16 shots. You'd love to see it. Sebastian Aho, 3 goals, 5 assists for 8 points. And then Andres Svechnikov runs out the top 3 with 2 goals, 5 assists for 7 points. So you love to see how that's working out for them. And of course, like I said, with goaltending, you really can't go wrong with how they're going so far. And got to give some flowers to Shane Gostisbehere. 4 goals, 3 assists, 7 points in 8 games, 21 shots, leading all defensemen in shots right now. Also in points, time for the team defense lead in assists with Burns and Slavin, of course, leading them in goals as well. Now, looking at the tails of the tape for the team stats overall, power play, Hurricanes are 10th at 23.1%, Boston's at 14.3 for 26. Penalty kill, 86.7 for your Carolina Hurricanes are in 6th, 80% for Boston, who's in 15th. Face-off percentage, Hurricanes have been losing the last couple games. They have lost the face-off battle, but still currently 13th at 50.2, with Boston coming in at 21st at 49.2. Goals for per game. How about 13th at 3.38 compared to the Boston Bruins, who are only getting 2.7 goals per game, sitting at 24th. And goals allowed, how about 3rd for your Carolina Hurricanes at 2.38 compared to the Boston Bruins at 3.4. So if you're looking at of course, we look back at the Edmonton game, Hurricanes had a little bit more juice in terms stat-wise than what the Edmonton Oilers did. So, of course, it says one thing. But if you look at the fact that your penalty kill is 6, you're top half of the league in goals for, but you're 3rd in goals allowed, that puts you in a pretty good spot to put teams away and limit a lot of damage and keep yourself in games. So if you're the Carolina Hurricanes, you definitely want to take that on a Boston Bruins team that are right now really struggling to score, 2.7 a game, and their power play is at 14.3. Their penalty kill is not the greatest. They're still top half, but not where they want to be. So as of right now, stats-wise, you will really take that if you're the Carolina Hurricanes and hopefully translate that into the on-ice product in a very interesting Halloween game against the Boston Bruins. Now, we are going to jump into the keys to the game and what I think needs to happen for your Carolina Hurricanes to beat the Boston Bruins. So stick around, as I'll do that here in a second on a Thursday Halloween edition of Locked On Hurricanes. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now new customers can bet $5 to get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Welcome back to segment 2 of Locked On Hurricanes, your team every day. Now, keys of the game. We all know there's working them out really well. We talk a lot about penalty kill, a lot about the power play and stuff like that. But when it comes to the Boston Bruins, there's a lot of angles you can go with this one. I think for me, the first one is do not fall into the trap of what the Boston Bruins are, where if they start losing, they're going to start getting physical. They're going to start, trying to get under your skin, get your best guys off the ice. So my first key is stay out of all of that. Stay out of the nonsense. Find a way to just stay cool, stay calm, play your game. Do not get trapped into the Boston Bruins way of getting your guys off the ice. Don't get retaliatory. Don't take unnecessary penalties. Don't, like I said, just don't get caught into their nonsense. If you're able to keep your way into a fact where you stay focused, you do what you need to do. Don't obviously stand up for your guys if guys are getting, bullied and stuff like that. Or not bullied, but getting, hassled by these guys. But do it in a way where you're not having guys go to the bench and then have a lot of 4-on-4s or you're on the penalty kill and stuff like that. So if you're the Carolina Hurricanes, like I said, just stay out of the Boston Bruins nonsense. Don't fall into the trap of their game and stuff like that. So that's one of the big keys is just play your game and just don't get caught up in the typical Boston Bruins nonsense of, all right, we're losing. Now we're gonna find a way to get under your skin and get your guys off the ice. Now for my second key to the game, and as I've been saying this for a while, just don't get cute. You are on a 4-game winning streak right now. You finished the road trip really well. Don't let the road trip make you feel like you're invincible and then you can get fancy with it. Just don't get cute. Do what's been working for you. You're 5-1-0 coming off the road trip. You're 6-2 on the season. You're playing a Boston Bruins team who is massively struggling right now at 4-5-1. Don't get cute. Play your game. Put these guys away early. You want to find a way to get 1-2 goals in the first period, or at least get the first couple goals and kind of put them away. If you can get 3 within the first period and a half, let's say it's somewhere in the second period, you're up 3-0 or even 3-1, that's fine. But you've got to find a way to put these guys away. Don't get cute with it. Stick to what works. If you stick to what works, if you play Carolina Hurricanes hockey, then you're going to be in a good spot to where you are not having to chase. Because the last thing you really want to do is chase a game to these guys. And it's just, you want to be able to shut the game down early. And like I said, as long as you just play your game and not, like I said, I've said in other games, even on the road trip, just if it's not broke, don't fix it. Don't get fancy. Don't get cute. It's just play a style that has been working for you so far this season. And of course, Rod Burnham will say the same thing. He's always said if the team plays their structured way of playing defense, transition games, creating chances and stuff like that, quality chances, not just quantity, but also quality as well. And, not get cute with their passes, not get cute on the plays. Don't get, fancy or lackadaisical and stuff like that, but just stay laser focused, play the way that they know how they're supposed to be playing. And I think you're setting yourself up for a good chance to beat the Boston Bruins. And hopefully you can do it pretty early on to where it's just hey, let's just keep the foot on the gas, go up 3-1, go up 3-0, and then just kind of, trap them into your game of, it's how are you going to get past this Carolina Hurricanes defense? How are you going to get through the neutral zone? How can you keep up with the speed that the Carolina Hurricanes now have with, Roslovic, Robinson, Nietzsche's, Jarvis? There is a lot of fast guys on this team. Gossespierre, Chatfield. If you are able to out-track these guys, because, going back to the Flames game and talking to Kyle Manifold from Flamescast and the Hockey Podcast Network, he said it was a track meet, and that's what it was. Because if you try to play to the Hurricanes' style of speed, you might get burned for it, and that's what the Hurricanes need to do. They need to use their structure of play to where speed is a factor, and that's where now you're putting the Boston Bruins in a tough spot of, like, how are they going to keep up with you when you're looking at a team that's, like I said, they're right now struggling, and, Brad Marchand is getting old. David Pastrnak can't do everything by himself. What's Elias Lindholm going to do? Trent Frederick. You got Pavel Zacha on the team. Charlie Coyle. Mason Lohrei, Brandon Carlo. It's like you're not talking a lot of these, Zadorov. You're not talking a lot of fast guys on this Boston Bruins team. So if you're able to go in and do your job, like I said, structure-wise, don't get cute, play your game, use your speed that's been absolutely working for you so far this season, especially against other teams who do have speed as well. But if you do it against the Boston Bruins team who are a little bit older and, are 4-5-1 to start the season, you are putting yourself in a really good spot to make it work for yourself. So like I said, don't get cute with it. Play your style of game, and you should be fine. Now, my third point harkens back to my first point, where you don't want to get into the trap of playing their game. And I've been saying this for the last couple of games. I know you guys heard me say it a lot. I'm going to be repeating the same point again, especially against a team like the Boston Bruins. Limit your penalties. Do not take 5, 6, 7 penalties in this game. Don't even take 4. I've said it against the Kraken. I've said it against the Canucks. 3 or less, you should be in a good spot, because that way you're able to go 3 for 3, at the worst 2 for 3 on the penalty kill. But, I mean, we all know they had 95% on the road in terms of their penalty kill. They gave up 1 power play goal all in 6 games, and that was against Connor McDavid against Edmonton. So, like I've said it for those previews, and I'll say it here again for the Boston game. Limit your penalties. 3 or less, you're setting yourself up to where you don't have to be, out of your groove, out of your 5v5 play that's been working really well for you all season, and you're not giving guys like Pastrnak and Marchand and all of them opportunities, or Elias Lindholm, of getting more reps and opportunities on the power play. Now you're having to chase and limiting your chances on the other side of the ice in your offensive zone against Jeremy Swayman. So like I said, point 3 harkens and kind of links back to point 1. Point 1 being, don't get into their trap of playing their game where it's a lot of emotion, retaliatory shenanigans and stuff like that. So like I said, that goes back to like my point in point 3 is limit your penalties. 3 or less. Play, stay in your style of game. You know what works for you. Stick to even strength. Get yourself power plays. Let them do what they need to do to get themselves penalties, and that way you're giving yourself more opportunities when it comes to putting pucks on the net, getting to swim, and using your structure of play, going from defense in the transition to the forwards, using your speed, setups, stuff like that. So as long as you limit your penalties and by not getting into their shenanigans, you should be fine. So like I said, my 3 points, don't fall into the trap of what the Bruins do. Don't get cute. Play your structured style of game. And then third, limit your penalties. If you limit your penalties, you're setting yourself into a good spot to beat the Boston Bruins. You go 5 straight wins and get your first home win since before you left for the road trip against the New Jersey Devils earlier in the month. So those are my 3 keys to the game. Now we're going to talk about players to watch. So stick around as I'll go over who the Hurricanes fans need to keep an eye on for their Carolina Hurricanes here in a second on a Thursday edition of Locked On Hurricanes. PrizePicks is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in reward winnings, PrizePicks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. Run your game all season long on PrizePicks. You can now win up to 100 times your money on PrizePicks with as little as 4 correct picks. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Think Connor McDavid will get more than half a goal next week, even though he's out for the next 2 weeks? Or maybe Austin Matthews for more or less than 1.5 points in a game. Well, you can cook up the hot takes with your friends and win real money this hockey season when you and your crew run your game on PrizePicks. Now, for me, I'll go into a game and I'm thinking, okay, do I think Nathan McKinnon will get more than half a goal a game? Or do I think Sidney Crosby could get less than 7.5 shots a game? Well, you can do that with PrizePicks. So download the app today and use code LOCKEDONAHL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Once again, download the app today and use code LOCKEDONNHL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. You can do that at PrizePicks where you can run your game. Welcome back to segment 3 of Locked On Hurricanes, your team every day. So now I'm going to be looking at the players to watch for your Carolina Hurricanes. And for me, I mean, we've been talking about him a lot over the last few episodes. You got to keep talking about him because just how good he's been playing for you. And that's Martin Necas. Like I said, he's tied for the team lead in goals, leads the team in assists, and leads the team in points. He's a +4, 2 game-winning goals, a power play goal, 16 shots, and is averaging over 17 minutes and 47 seconds of ice time. If he keeps his hot run that he's been on, like I said, 10 points in the last 6 games, you pay him that big bonus of going from $3 million to $6.5 million. He's playing like the guy that you would want him to be, especially when he hit, like, not even 2 seasons ago, he led the team with 71 points in that breakout season. Last year, yes, it was a down year for him, finished with 53 points. Especially in a contract year, where you really wish he would have, been the guy that he was the season before. But as of right now, he's well above a point per game. And like I said, basically is either tied or leading the team in every offensive stat category. And is doing it on a average time on ice where you're less than 18 minutes, but you're still doing your job as the second line right winger. You're on the first power play unit. And he's on a line with just Barry Kotkaniemi and Eric Robinson, who have been really solid for the Carolina Hurricanes, in all honesty. So if you're looking for a player to specifically watch to see, him stay on a hot run that he's been on, I would definitely say Martin Necas is that guy. And it's really exciting to see how well he's been playing. And I've said on the past episodes, like, I didn't really, would he leave? Would he stay? I was definitely on the fence of how that was going to work out. I mean, I'm glad that he did stay. Of course, everyone who's, see me tweet or post, however you want to put it, on X or Twitter, and even listen to me on the Searchcast or even on this podcast, you've heard me talk about how I like Martin Necas. I've been on his train even the season before his 71-point year, because at that time he was really young, still trying to figure out his zone, and now you're seeing where he's at now, and it's good to see him prove why he's worth $6.5 million. So for me, it's good to see how great Martin Necas has already been playing for the Carolina Hurricanes this season. So he's definitely someone I want to keep an eye on. Now, the other guy I want to keep an eye on for this game is Pyotr Kochetkov, because now, once again, he's going to be thrusting himself into the starting role 1A, or the 1 position, with Frederik Andersen now out. Of course, we don't know how long that's going to be. And, of course, Spencer Martin's coming up to be his backup. Right now, Pyotr Kochetkov is 3-1 on the season. He has saved 93 of 104 shots faced. He has allowed in 11 goals. He's time total on ice, 238 minutes and 38 seconds. He has an .894 save percentage and a .277 goals against average, which, of course, did drop down, a little bit after the last game against the Vancouver Canucks, which, of course, you would love to have that third goal back. But, as Rod Brendan Moore said, they like the aggressiveness. it's just a learning moment from him. They're not upset. It's just one of those things where you got to learn from your mistakes. But overall, he's been playing really well this season so far for the Hurricanes. Even in that fourth or loss to the St. Louis Blues, nothing he can do on a couple of those goals, and it's just it is what it is. But now you're back. You're putting yourself into the starting role once again. And of course, this is a season where a lot of people are hoping that he is the guy because this is Frederick Anderson's last year of his contract, and you got to prove to everyone that you are the goalie of the future and you're the goalie of the now, because you're in the second year of a 4-year deal where you're making $2 million per season. And you got Spencer Martin coming up. You got Ruslav Kaisev in the wings down there in Chicago, Yanov Peretz as well. Even like down the road, you got Jacob Vondras playing for the Sudbury Wolves of the OHL. But right now, you are the goalie for the Carolina Hurricanes, and I think if you're Pierre Kachekov, you really want to get a huge win against the Boston Bruins, who they're very familiar with, because we all remember the little exchange between Pierre Kachekov and Brad Marchand a few postseasons ago. But I think for Piotr, for the confidence, which, I mean, he exudes confidence. This kid is afraid of absolutely no one. But it's Halloween night. It's in Carolina. You're back home. You got some home cooking. Things are going to get wacky, especially because it's Halloween. But you're facing the Boston Bruins, who are essentially a rival-ish to the Hurricanes. I wouldn't say they're main rivals. But these are one of those games where it gets turned up a notch every time these two teams face each other, whether it's in Boston or it's in Carolina. So if you're Pierre Kachekov, you want to come in and shut the door, play a really great game, get the W, go 5 straight wins, go 7-2 on the season, and put another feather in your cap against the Boston Bruins and shut them down and let them have an L-shaped candy after tonight's game for sure. Now, the third guy I want to keep an eye on for your Carolina Hurricanes, I know, you could talk about, Shane Gostisbehere, because, the joke is there about, are we going to have another ghost sighting because it's Halloween? And, he's been on fire as of late. Like I said, 7 points in 8 games. I would love to go for the low-hanging fruit of that pick, making him like the third guy to watch, because especially since it's Halloween. So I'll give him the honorable mention of a player to watch. He's not like my top 3 guys I want to watch, not my 3 players, but someone I definitely want to be like, okay, here's an honorable mention just because of the Halloween joke of him being Ghost Bear, and it's time to get spooky. But the other guy I want to keep an eye on is Jesperi Kotkaniemi. 6 points, all assists in 8 games, averaging 14 minutes and 50 seconds for time on ice, 14 shots on the team. In terms of the forward core, it's kind of put him in the top probably 8-ish round there. But for me, it's like, can he keep up the run that he's been on? Will he score his first goal this season? Because he's very sneak bitten, but you got to give him flowers. Defensive games really well. He's really great on the faceoffs. He's putting himself in a good position where it's like he's playing the game where you hope he would play as a defensive forward who's your Jordan Stahl 2.0. So I'm really hoping he gets off the schneid tonight, at least in the goal category. Gets his first of the season. It'd be great to do it against Boston. But most importantly, too, just to see how he keeps this up, especially at home in front of the fans. So you got to give a lot of props to Jesperi Kotkaniemi for the start he's been on. So he's another guy I definitely want to keep an eye on just to see if he keeps this run up as the season goes along. But that will wrap up the Thursday edition of Locked on Hurricanes. I hope everyone enjoyed the episode. In the comments below, let me know who your 3 players are to watch for the game tonight for your Carolina Hurricanes against the Boston Bruins. For me, like I said, it's Martin Necas, Pierre Kachekov, and Jesperi Kotkaniemi. If you want to follow along with what I'm doing, go to ONEHUNDRED on X. The podcast is LO_Hurricanes. You can check out all my articles at thehockeywriters.com. You can check out my other podcasts at the Search Cast. You can look them up on all podcast platforms and on YouTube. Now, before you check out all the stuff for this show, well, you already made this your first listen today, but for your second listen, well, go on over to Locked On Fantasy Hockey. Become a fantasy hockey expert and get the edge over your league mates with daily tips from Steal and Flip. Find Locked On Fantasy Hockey on YouTube wherever you listen to podcasts. Now, speaking of that, well, you can look at Locked On Hurricanes on all podcast platforms. Leave a 5-star rating and review. I might just bring on the show. And for the YouTube side of things, Locked On Hurricanes, check it out there. Subscribe, hit the bell notification so you don't miss the show. Hit the thumbs up button. Let me know you like the show as well. Like I said, comment below. Who are your 3 players to watch for this game for your Carolina Hurricanes against the Boston Bruins? Make sure to share this podcast with other Caniacs who become everydayers just like you, because we are over 1,000 subscribers on the YouTube side of things. We do have 52 ratings overall, so let's just keep those numbers going up. Let's hit 2,000 subscribers, 5,000, 10. Let's just keep this trend rolling, and let's get let's get those numbers on the podcast side of things up to 100. Let's get 100 ratings, and make sure that hopefully they all are 5 stars, because we want to make this the best Hurricanes podcast for you guys. But I hope everyone enjoyed this Thursday Halloween special preview of your Carolina Hurricanes on Locked On Hurricanes. Hope everyone enjoys the game tonight. Hopefully everyone gets some amazing candy, full size, because full size is the best. You know what? Also in the comments, let me know what your favorite candy is, because for me, it's Reese's, but hey, you cannot go wrong with Almond Joys as well. But hope everyone has a great night. And until next time, as always, let's go Canes, and happy Halloween, Caniacs.